Okay.
I can't resign. I won't do it. It won't be fair. Not to me, not to the people.
Your event is starting. I think it started. Yeah, we're live. Okay.
What's up, everybody?
Hello, welcome to Worst Tutorials Live.
Cheers, top of the morning to
With
you.
We did
Fuller,
it.
Bradford, and my name's Brian.
We did it. Neato.
Neato! Someone's
Oh, no,
going to
we
have
were-
to mute their
we were
device.
Bradford.
Right here. The TV.
Oh, no! We got an audio loop. Watch out.
Man,
Amateurs.
that looks really good, though.
All right, good
Bradford's
stuff.
impressed with my video.
Unfortunately, we haven't had
Bradford-
any technical difficulties, so we're not going to get salty, Brian.
Bradford, I have a few video gears in this room, so I am perfectly capable of sending a live stream out that looks...
I'm just impressed with the fact that this is live and it's pretty high quality. Normally it's a little degraded.
I do also have a healthy internet connection.
It makes
in
my
this house.
hard part line look awesome, though.
Cool.
We're going to start this off. First of all, we've got some Stoke iced coffee. It's good stuff. Fuller's got some sort of what kind of almonds
These are
do you have?
Blue Diamond Almonds Honey Roasted.
That sounds delicious.
And then I also have Smokehouse in case Brian gets real salty.
Do you want me to get angry? Because I will. You jerks. Okay, we're going to answer a question.
If you weren't here a few weeks ago,
Last time we went live, I could not get the equipment in this room to work.
it wasn't your fault.
It was apparently because it works now. It's magic. So we ended up going live on an iPhone, and I was so angry. I was so mad at my stuff.
I don't think I've ever seen you that mad, Brian. You were fuming.
I have a pretty long.
scared.
I have a pretty long fuse, guys.
But when it
But
goes...
that was we got pretty close to the end of it.
All right. I'm done.
All right, well, we talked about
We're gonna
starting the stream with a question from Jamie.
we're gonna answer Jamie Huntington's question,
That's right, because I think it's
which
very
was
important.
he posed several questions. The one we're gonna take is, what is your order at Chick-fil-A?
Good question.
Before we do this, may I go on a rant?
Please. The world.
We may
I
get
think we'll
salty
hit
Brian after
400,000 subscribers while Brian's ranting.
Here's my rant.
Or we may go about 10 steps back.
Chick-fil-A is great. I love Chick-fil-A. Their food is good.
There is no but.
But
No, Brian.
no, wait. I'm not there yet.
Zaxby's is not better.
No, I'm not. It's not where I'm going.
Ooh, Zaxby's
So
is good, though.
Chick-fil-A, yeah, they are. Chick-fil-A is kind of like the Christian Chicken, right? It's like they're a Christian-run organization.
Cookout's not better, Brian.
And that's where I'm going. And
I know
like
you are.
the church at large loves to just celebrate Chick-fil-A and stuff, which is fine. I think it's good. But Cookout is also a Christian-run organization.
It is.
And I'm here. My mission in life is going to shift from whatever I'm doing to like shining the spotlight on just how awesome Cookout is. I think the food is better.
It's apples and oranges.
It's better.
Well, I'm going to answer the question.
It's cheaper. You get a
two
Bible
things.
verse on every cup.
Yeah, Psalm
It's nice.
96:3 or something like that.
Taste
Two
and see.
things at Chick-fil-A.
Let's go for our Chick-fil-A.
My
orders.
new jam is the chicken breakfast scramble is a nice low carb option in the morning. Not low carb, but comparatively speaking, better than a biscuit. And then almost every day I have a Cobb salad with grilled chicken. So
That is good.
with their
the avocado
chipotle lime
lime.
ranch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
That's
so.
good. Okay. That's
What
Fuller's
about you,
order.
Brad? Oh, no, large half and half unsweet iced tea.
I always get a spicy chicken sandwich with, recently I've been doing Colby Jack.
I like going to
Chick-fil-A
Colby Jack.
sauce, large fry, and depends on my mood. Sometimes it's either sweet tea or lemonade, one of the two. And I typically get either a 4-count of strips or another chicken sandwich as well, spicy chicken sandwich as well.
You get 3 meals in one.
No.
3 main dishes. 3 main.
Have you
items.
seen Brad eat?
No. Either strips or sandwich extra.
Okay.
So I get one sandwich, and depending on my mood, it's either
I
an
follow.
order of strips or another sandwich. It just depends.
Okay.
Any restaurant where you can get a quesadilla as a side item is pretty sweet.
Cookout.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's terrible for you,
Cookout.
though.
Oh, it's so good. And their fancy milkshakes are pretty good.
All
Okay.
right.
My order at Chick-fil-A is going to have to be the spicy chicken sandwich, deluxe, no tomato, with the waffle fries, and if it's the summertime, peach shake or cookies and cream shake. And if I'm, if I'm deciding that I'd like to not die from a heart attack next month.
When are you deciding that? Every day?
Hopefully soon.
I make that decision on a daily basis.
Then I also like the Cobb salad with grilled chicken. It's good.
That's good stuff.
Crispy chicken is good on it, but it kind of defeats the purpose.
That's good.
Yeah, by the time you add dressing, you might as well get a sandwich.
Feel free to put any of your questions in the comments section.
Yeah.
Looks like we got about 120 people joining us.
What do we
today.
got, Fuller? Any questions that we should tackle?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I was going to do something first before we go. I would like to present Bradford with a gift. Not from me, not from us, not from Worship Tutorials, but we recently... Where is it? It's over there. We recently did a video series. Fuller's going to play some backing music. With a Epiphone Les Paul, and we totally upfitted it. Right?
I heard myself today.
This is not appropriate.
That's not what I was playing.
It sounds like Johnny Cash.
I mean, that's a Nine Inch Nails song.
Well, yeah, but it sounds like Johnny Cash's version.
I'm gonna play the copyright.
Trent Reznor is a musical genius. Let's just.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna play the copyright royalty-free version of Stairway to Heaven.
that does not exist. Okay, so anyway, we did a series of videos on that Epiphone Les Paul Gold Top. We sent the guitar to this company called 920D
920D
Custom, and in the final review video, one of the things 920D did was they sent me a very nice leather strap, completely free. That I had no idea it was coming. It was a gift from them. Thank you guys for that. And in the video, Bradford was like, I really like this strap.
It smelled so good.
It smelled like dead cow.
And so this is a gift presented
Thank
from
you,
920D
Ryan. I appreciate that.
to Bradford, not Fuller.
For me to give.
So,
to
Brad, open
Is this an unboxing?
This is an unboxing video.
Cool. Maybe there's two in there because
I mean, this kind of defeats the purpose because I think he knows what's in it now.
Well, at this point.
I did set it up in a way that...
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Goodness gracious.
Good grief.
What's that? Oh, instructions.
Oh, look.
How do you...
What do you got?
You threw the strap down,
I threw the
dude.
wrong thing
Hey,
away.
don't throw that thing down.
threw
They
the
sent
wrong
you...
thing
Here,
away.
I'll let you open. This is yours. This is all for Brad. I can smell the leather from here.
I can too. And
Oh,
I
man.
accidentally threw it down. I'm going to open
It's
this
high
first.
quality. It's high quality.
Yeah, that's legit leather.
Yeah.
Man.
So 920D.
You guys are awesome.
It was. Let me make sure that I remember.
Thanks for your order. Rock on, friend. Well,
Yes.
I didn't order it.
Oh,
No,
you're
you're
welcome.
welcome. That is
the stickers
that's
in the
straight
tip
up
of
a
the
gift.
carpet. That's cool.
So
That's quality. That's next level.
So yeah, it was.
Oh man, that's good stuff.
Who was it that reached out?
Wow.
I'm gonna make sure I get the name right. Jimmy
Smell
Dar.
that thing.
Jimmy, I believe, either owns or manages or something 920D.
Man.
And Jimmy saw the video. Of course, we were communicating together.
Yeah.
And he saw Bradford say, I really like this strap, I want one. And he sent me a message on Facebook and said, what's Bradford's address? We're going to send him a strap. I said, send it to me. I'll present it to him as a gift.
Well, thank you, Brian.
And it's
for
fun to be able
coordinating.
to do it in a live video.
It is.
So Jimmy, 920D, thank you
Thank
guys.
you.
Hey, if you want custom work done on your guitar, dude, reach
I
out
just
to
want
me.
to get a guitar, another guitar. to then to
920D
send.
custom. Yeah.
Yes.
Are those the guys that did the Les Paul?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
They did good work.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, check out those videos of the
Yeah.
Les Paul. Does this have what does this have
Has
on
their
it?
logo on
Has the
there.
920D custom
awesome.
engraved on it, and it's like it's not gonna like you're not gonna play it and have this big badge that has another
That's the
company on
thing,
it.
yeah.
It's really subtle, which is nice.
I just want to get
this
a
is a
guitar
nice strap.
to send to them to update.
You need to get something. Just
I don't
buy,
know.
Just
I don't know
buy
what I
something
want to
cheap.
do.
Send it
Okay.
I
to
don't
them.
know what to do.
Say surprise me, and then send me the bill.
Okay, let's jump into some questions.
Okay.
Me as in you,
All right.
or me as in me?
I don't know.
I knew yesterday when Brad sent me this text, it would only be a matter of time before we got questions about this.
Okay.
Oh.
I
Zach-
know where this is going.
Zach Smith said, I would love to hear your thoughts on the Hx Stomp
We could do this very
and the
quickly.
new Helix update. I can guarantee what Brad's going to say.
It's gonna be awesome.
It's going to be
Well,
awesome.
first of all, they're not out yet.
They're not.
They just announced it.
Well, they aren't, but they are.
A few like YouTube channels and stuff have units for review. We are going to get one to review. Line 6 is going to send us one, but it won't be till maybe later in the month.
Yeah.
And they're not available to buy yet, as far as I understand.
No, they are. They went live yesterday.
Oh, okay. Well, they're going to send us our
From
review
what I
unit
understand.
soon.
Well, a lot of you guys, this is the solution you've been waiting on. Because the Helix is a little too pricey for a lot of worship guitar players.
Just jump in,
And so this is, I think, gonna just be a big seller for Line 6.
Well, let's talk about what it is first.
Yes.
If you take a Helix, I have one right down here. Helix does amp modeling, cabinet modeling, effects modeling, right? It has, you can put, I don't know how many things, 30-some things in the chain. And it has 2 DSP chips, which is the memory that runs everything. So the Hx Stomp is like a tiny version of that. And so you get 1 DSP chip, and you can put 6 things in the chain. So you could put, for example, an amp, a cabinet, a compressor, an overdrive, a reverb, and a delay, which is pretty much a full rig. You know, it's a basic one, but it's a full rig. And so, and then you have 3 buttons at your disposal. So what I think a lot of people are going to do, because it includes the amp modeling and everything. So HX Effects is only effects modeling. HX Stomp includes the amps, which is awesome. So and it's a tiny little pedal. Mm-hmm. So basically, what you can do if you are a pedal board guy is you can put it on your board, and it acts as your amp. You can actually run 2 amp. You can run a full stereo amp setup with it. It's the Helix. It sounds awesome.
And
so
Line 6 looked across the table at Kemper and said,
"These are gonna be good."
Checkmate.
Yeah.
Well, what's cool about, it's limited as far as doesn't have as many buttons. So you get, what'd you say, 2 stomp models?
3 buttons.
3 buttons.
But one
you can
is
put
tap.
6. You can put 6.
Yeah.
I think you can. It
6
looks
effects
like
at a time.
you can change that though.
Well,
we don't know. We don't know.
But you can cycle. I do know you can cycle. So you hit 1 and 2 to cycle up, and then you hit 2 and 3 to cycle down, and then you select the stomps. That's how you do stomp box.
So either way, it doesn't have all the features live, but it will be a great solution.
$599.
A great solution, because really all you need is a stomp box and the delay pedal. You can do the rest.
Now I will say you can buy a used Helix LT for like $700 or $800. And a Helix LT will give you a lot more functionality.
Yeah.
I think the Helix Stomp is going to be positioned more for people who are like use a pedal board or use other gear, and you want like just the amps from the Helix, and then maybe a stomp or like a pedal or effect or 2. You know.
Well, so somebody actually asked about this question, and they said, "What would you suggest for like a basic cheaper guitar rig or something like that?" Mm-hmm. The thing about the HX Stomp is it's $600.
Yeah.
That's not cheap, but at the same time, if you're going to get
than amps.
a lot of amps, yeah. And also, a lot of people face the problem with their church not wanting them to really make noise on stage.
Right.
Mm-hmm. They need to keep it as quiet as possible. So the HX is really meant. I think. Then this is just my interpretation. I think Line 6 made this, and they're like, we're going to throw out an option for people who want to use the amps but don't need the effects, but we're going to let you use effects. And I think people are like freaking out because they're like, well, that's not practical. How are you supposed to use it with only 3 buttons? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, missing the point.
Mm-hmm. The point is that it's an amp box.
It's an amp thing, and they put effects in because they're awesome. Like, if they just made an amp box, people would complain that there's no effects.
They might as well.
So
it's all there.
Here's what I think the best use case for it is. If you like pedals, and you have... So the pedals that people don't want to go digital are overdrives, right? So you have your overdrive pedals. This is how I would see a lot of people using it. Because most people actually use digital reverb and delay, whether they use pedals or not, because most reverb and delay pedals out there are digital, right?
Yeah.
And the reverbs and delays in the Helix are awesome. So what I would see most people doing is you have a pedal board, you've got 2 or 3 overdrives, you put them in the effects loop of the HX Stomp, and then on the HX Stomp, what you do is you put a compressor up front that's always on, not tied to a button. You put your overdrive pedals in it via the effects loop. You put the amp in it, and then you have a reverb and a delay that are accessible via the buttons and a tap tempo.
Yeah,
that's good.
And that's
that's
basic,
your whole rig.
Yeah, and
so 2 drive pedals, the HX Stomp, and you're done. Like, that's a tiny little board that would be sweet.
It is, and I think. I don't know. The more as technology advances, the problem's going to come where like people say, "What I need a cheap setup," but I think by the time you got to power the things. So even if you bought the cheapest power supply, you're looking at $30 there. You got to get patch cables. You're probably looking at $30 there. Yeah. Like those are necessities. Those are non-negotiables. Yeah. You get like an overdrive pedal. You got to at least have one, I would imagine. Delay and reverb.
$50-$60.
By the time you talk about all that stuff, you're getting pretty close.
That much money.
Yeah. So like, if you only have like $200-$300, find yourself a Line 6 pod, like the HD500.
Yeah, an HD500X.
That's about your best option, because otherwise, an amp's another $200-$300. Even solid state stuff's going to cost you about that. And so, I mean, if you're just looking at something, sure, do we love Helix and Line 6? Absolutely. Yes, but, I mean, as unbiased as I can possibly say, I don't think there's really much out there that can compete. Like, I mean, like, there's the amplifier box, but even that's $300.
And so, well, I haven't played one. So
I mean, I haven't played one, but like, just even looking at what's available, like, I've heard people say that they're great, but even that's $300. So
I would put my money on the Helix amps sound better than the amplifier box. But I haven't played one, so I'm not gonna definitively make that statement. The Helix amps sound really good.
They do.
Yeah.
And we want to.
We're gonna be making some patches for it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna want to be using it live some with 2 amps. So I'll use my pedal board. I'll use my pedal board
and the
2 Helix amps, like a matchless and like a deluxe reverb or something. Go straight front of house, and all that. So.
And the Helix amps, we've done it. We've taken Brad's board into the Helix with just the amps on it. It sounds really good.
And that was like
they react well to pedals.
That was almost 2 years ago too.
Yeah.
And Brian and I have been working on Helix patches.
We've gotten better.
Yeah, we feel a lot more confident in that. So,
how many people have we lost to the Helix discussion?
I was about to say we should probably go on to some non-guitar questions.
Let's change the subject.
Yeah, we could talk about guitars all day. MSG Flavor has a great question.
Yes.
Can you recommend any books or authors outside of the Bible that have helped inform your views on leadership in ministry?
Sure.
And first of all, everyone take a chill pill. It's okay to read other books other than the Bible. Yes, we know the Bible is God's Word. It is the manual for our lives. It's the most important book. But you can also read other things and learn. So before you send emails about the Bible is the only... Great leaders read lots of different things. So, because if you start talking about books to read, someone's going to comment, oh, you should read... Everything you need is in the Bible. It is, but God also gives us other resources as well. So that's a little rant. I might be getting a little salty, right? Are we getting a little salty yet?
Okay. Hey, one of us needs to be.
Exactly. So what do you guys... I can tell you a couple. I know...
I can tell you an author.
You go ahead.
Just straight off the top.
I know.
John Maxwell.
John Maxwell, yes. Anything by him.
Anything by John Maxwell.
360, I think 360-degree leadership, I read that. And even in the first few chapters, you could stop there. But the whole book, the biggest thing for me was it helped me understand how to lead those who were my peers and then those who were like above me. So now I know how to lead Fuller and you didn't even know it.
Seriously, you did a great job.
But it comes down to like sometimes the hardest thing in ministry is not necessarily the people who you're leading, but it's the people who are leading you. And how do you be a good leader through that? And how do you kind of what's the word when you're trying to like figure out ahead of time? You're trying to anticipate. Oh my word. We're trying to anticipate.
I'm a human thesaurus.
That's right.
Yes.
Dictionary.
Yep.
Also, Andy Stanley has great books on that.
Anything about the cool thing about Andy Stanley and John Maxwell, they're awesome Christian guys. So you can't go wrong with that guys. There's other, but Henry Cloud is a great psychologist. He's also an author. He wrote a book called Boundaries, which I think is one of the best books any leader in ministry could get. Other than the Bible, is a book called Boundaries, and it basically teaches you how to create boundaries in your life, how to say no when it's time to say no, how to say yes and protect your boundaries. So I would say Boundaries. Also, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell is really awesome.
I'm going to release my book.
A book.
21 Totally Refutable Laws.
That's right. Another book that really changed my life as far as leadership goes, it actually, believe it or not, it's a really tiny book. It's called 1 Minute Manager, and it only takes like an hour to read it. It's written by Ken Blanchard, but ministry is a very fast-paced thing, and being able to make decisions on the fly and being able to create a culture where people kind of understand and know who you are as a leader is really beneficial. So I would highly suggest 1 Minute Manager, and then Boundaries. Boundaries is a lot bigger read.
I have 2 more recommendations. So two guys to really look at that are that write more from, and I could go on a long tangent here, that more from the business field, like from the secular business world, that are really good. And I think the church has a lot to learn from great companies who lead their people well, because I think churches, I think in many cases, churches treat their employees worse than secular companies do. In many
unfortunately.
cases. And we could go along. I could go along on a long tangent, and I'm not. But here are two guys that write really good stuff from that business perspective that I think church can learn a lot from. One is Jim Collins. Pretty much anything Jim Collins writes, but he has a book called Good to Great.
Good to Great, yeah.
Why some companies make the leap and others don't. It's a great book.
That's a great book.
Another guy to look at is Seth Godin. Anything from him. He writes more from a marketing perspective, but his leadership stuff is really good. He has a book called Lynchpin that's excellent. It's all about becoming indispensable. Everybody's dispensable, but he writes a book that's just how to become extremely valuable to your organization.
What did Jim Collins do? What is he part of?
He's a business guy. So
what business?
What is his
backstory?
Right, he was like a CEO in a large company. I can't remember.
That's what I.
You can look up. You can look up Jim Collins.
I can look him up later.
No, I don't know. I'm looking at his bio. It doesn't really say. He's been involved in a lot of stuff. Anyway, he has another book called Built to Last. Good to Great and Built to Last. Those are good. So
that's great stuff. Yeah, any of those books will steer you in the right direction. Yeah. Kevin Dennis says salutations to the B3 gang. That's our new name. Brian, and Brad. That's funny.
B3 is a good thing. I mean, the B3 organ is
great organ. Hey, nice. The Missionary for Christ asked this question. This is an interesting question. Says, how often do you practice guitar and how many songs do you know? And here's the interesting thing about how many songs you know. You know every song. Because as you start to learn your instrument, you start to realize that specifically with worship, guess what? Here's a little secret people don't tell you. Every song is the same.
Basically.
Except
Snarky Puppy.
Yeah, like jazz and classical don't count. But like
just play the right notes.
In worship music, the truth is almost every song is diatonic, meaning that all of the chords are in the key signature. So once you learn the 6 keys, the 6 chords of a key, the 4 major chords, the 3 minor chords, and then a diminished, which you hardly ever use, is you will literally be able to play every praise and worship song. All you got to do at that point is figure out what order the chords happen in and what key it's in. So little secret. So once you learn your instrument,
life hacking, baby,
you can learn all of the songs. Every song ever.
How many songs do I know? Is the whatever the songs are in the set list.
Yeah, there you go.
Coming weekend. How often do you practice? That was the other part of that question. It was an important question.
That is a great question.
Not enough.
That varies from person to person.
I'd say maybe a couple hours a week.
I'd say I'd say minimal. You know, in college, if you're a instrument major, meaning that your degree is in, like, say you have a guitar performance degree or a piano performance degree, in college you're required to practice. Ready for this? 4 hours a day.
Yeah, minimum.
So when most people in college practice like 6 to 8 hours a day.
Nuts.
When you see someone do like a senior recital and they're playing Paganini and Mozart and all this stuff, and you're wondering how they got so amazing.
I love Paganinis.
They weren't born like that.
Presses.
They were practicing 4 to 7 hours a day for 5 to 6 years. So the more you practice, the better you'll get. So.
And don't practice till you get it right. Practice till you can't get it wrong.
Hey,
I love turning a phrase.
Talon Victus says, no minor keys, keep it happy. Do you know what's ironic? Is not all songs that are in minor keys aren't happy, because the song Happy...
A lot of Christmas songs.
The song Happy by Pharrell and Hans Zimmer is actually in a minor key.
Hans Zimmer was involved in...
They worked on the movie, together.
No wonder it's so good.
Absolutely. This is part of the...
Oh, somebody asked what coffee we were drinking. This is our coffee choice today. It is our preferred brand of ice brewed coffee.
Well, for now, I mean, if anybody wants to watch this and sponsor our iced coffee drinking...
Yes, now that's a gift that would keep on
Reach out to me and I'll send you my address.
If Stoke sends us a case of cold brew,
you can send your coffee to us and we'll put it in on the next live video.
Oh, okay, here's $1 million question. I'd like Salty Brian to take this one.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Can you bring him in?
I'm gonna conjure up anger.
This is from Derek Barolet. I believe that's French. What do you do if your pastor is pushing for
I read this
changes,
question.
but the congregation is extremely resistant?
Ooh. Okay, so I was involved in a church. I'm not going to go snarky because I don't know the answer to this question. I don't claim to know the answer to this question, but
Well, there's a lot of layers to it, that's for sure.
I was involved in a church years ago that this happened, and the leadership of the church really had a vision for a certain style and a certain vibe, and the congregation just didn't make up that style or vibe at all, and didn't really gel with it, and the church died. So
That's good.
I mean, it's a sad story.
Yeah, that is. Then they all died. It's like Infinity War.
I think like
Everyone. Oh, spoiler alert!
Oh my gosh, Fuller!
Sorry, haven't you seen it?
no, I haven't. I wanted to watch. I haven't seen.
Sorry.
And here I didn't tell you the end of Stranger Things because you were so mad at me.
I haven't seen Black
I
Panther
respected
yet.
you.
I wanted to watch
Sorry.
Black Panther first.
I totally made that up.
I kind of gathered things about that movie.
I
based
just
on
spoiled
what
Infinity
people
War for 400,000 people who apparently
Okay.
don't go to the movies.
So-
131.
Okay, back to the question. I'm not here to say it can't be done, but I do think it's important that the identity of a church, the identity of who a church is, needs to be reflected in the people that are plugged into that church. And if you want to be something, and you look at your congregation and the something that you want to be is not there, that's a tough road. And I don't know the answer to that question, but I do know if you want to change culture, you have to start with vision, and you have to communicate that vision, and you have to create a picture of where you want to go and what you want to be that is extremely compelling. And then you have to call people to it constantly.
And if you're the worship leader, hopefully you're in support of your pastor. So hopefully this is a decision that the pastor made with the consultation of the board or the deacons or at least the staff. And it's something the staff is excited about. So now if you're in a situation where the pastor's trying to do something and no one's excited about it, that's an issue. And that's going to probably require some counseling to work through that. But if it's a situation where, because here's a lot of times what happens, our pastor wants to do something that we've collectively as a staff decided that we want to do it. And sometimes people will be resistant. But if all of us, the staff, if we're all on the same page, then we do everything within our power to support that change, to model that change, to be excited about that change. Because people fear what they don't know. And so the best thing you can do is you can, like Brian said, cast a lot of vision and talk a lot about it and get people excited about it. And so you have to get to a point in your mind where you're excited about it, because you can't fake people out. You can't cast vision for something you don't believe in. So you got to kind of wrestle with that. But the most important thing is for the worship leader and the pastor to be on the same page with the same plan and the same vision to make this happen. And people will warm up to it eventually. Or, the church will die. Like
And
Brian said.
well, it's like, here's an example. Say you've got a church that's a traditional church, and the congregation is made up, almost everybody in the congregation is 50 to 75 years old, which I think describes a lot of churches out there. And the leadership of the church really wants the church to appeal to 20 and 30-year-olds. And so they're like, we're going to do a different style of music, and we're going to really go out and capture, millennials or young adults or young families. And it's like that. Okay, so you put some flyers out or whatever, you do some marketing. A 25-year-old person walks into your church, and it's a bunch of 50 and 60-year-olds. And there's a disconnect there. And so I think a church has to be honest with, who are we?
Yeah, that's good.
What is our identity?
Yeah.
But on the flip side, young people desperately seek something that's authentic. And I don't think a 25-year-old person is going to walk into a building filled with people that are different ages from them and be turned off. They are going to be turned off if they walk into a place and they're obviously trying to be something they're not.
Yeah, sure. That's
right?
good.
I hope that makes sense.
Authenticity rules.
Yeah, especially young people today, I don't think they care so much about do the people in this room all look like me? They just want something that's feels real.
Yeah, that's good.
Right?
That's excellent. Here's a yes or no question. Do you guys listen to John Piper? Yes.
I like John Piper a lot.
Occasionally.
There you go.
Not a yes or no question.
What?
I guess the answer would be yes.
It's
if
yes
you say
or no,
occasionally.
yeah.
People are judging our theology based on what we just said.
Good.
You realize that?
I don't care.
Which I think, maybe I'm wrong, but if you are...
Well,
check
if you
your
have a
heart,
problem
bro.
with theology, then you need to talk to John Piper. I practice every single day. Awesome. Tal Invictus says this. My wife is learning ukulele, so I play every song in C
awesome.
with her. Kind of high. Yeah, that would be kind of high for songs.
Depends on the song.
What would you call culture change?
Oh man, what would you call culture change? Fuller, what would you call culture change?
Man, culture change. Culture to me is something that happens over time, based off of consistent behavior. So it has. Most cultures happen naturally. Whether they're good or bad, they've happened naturally. People are lazy, people don't show up, people are complacent. That all happens when a group of people get together that share the same values. So to change culture, you actually have to be super intentional, and you have to change behavior over the long term. You don't just stand on a stage and go, hey guys, we're changing our culture starting today.
Right now.
It takes a long time to develop it, and it starts with behavior. So I would say cultural change is behavioral change.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Could be wrong.
What do you think, Brad? Thank you, Brad.
Good talk, Brad.
Take it, Russ!
Brad's researching the Line 6 stomp box.
No, I'm not. I'm reading
No,
questions.
he's reading
I wasn't actually very
Yeah,
engaged
it's
in that
kinda
one.
funny.
Sorry.
Brad's just on Facebook.
Lisa asked a really good question.
Okay.
How long does it take you to memorize a chord progression?
Oh.
Ooh, okay, I'll take this one. I got this one. I memorize nothing. Ooh.
Oh, Brad.
So what the reason why
making us all feel bad.
the reason why is I learn the song as a whole, and then in the moment as it comes across, I know how it sounds and I can play it. So it makes life so much easier because then you're not memorizing. So I would say the biggest thing I would say to people if they're having trouble learning songs is not try to figure out how to memorize better, but try to figure out how to understand music better. Because I think that's actually easier, and then learning songs comes like that.
Yeah, it's definitely an advance.
It's a lot quicker to do it that way, and it may take some work. But there's free ear training websites. Like literally, just type in music ear training, and what they do is they'll throw out like a chord, and you start easy. Is this major or is this minor?
Yeah.
Or they'll start out with like here is a 1 chord and here's a 6 chord. And they'll play one of them, and they just want you to identify it, and then you start adding more and adding more. And if you commit to just doing this for a few weeks, and you do it every single day, your ear will get a lot better.
There are some iOS apps out there.
Yeah, iOS apps too.
That I know will do that.
I have like 8 ear training apps.
I'm sure Android
It will
too.
make your life
just
so much easier.
Learn to hear the changes and feel them.
Yeah, do a Google search for just like ear training apps. And find some that are well recommended or well reviewed and practice. Yeah.
What's cool about that is once your ear starts to identify a 4/6, 1 progression, every song you hear, you will actually know how to play it the moment you hear it.
Yep.
And you'll, that might sound like supernatural to you, but the reality is it's just training your ears to hear those progressions.
There's a guy that I love. He has a YouTube channel. His name is Tim Pierce. He's like a really famous...
Lame. No, just... He's amazing.
A really famous session guitar player.
Yeah.
Meaning he plays on other people's albums. And it's like he's played on Michael
And
Jackson's
he's such
albums.
a nice dude, too.
He is incredible.
He's so good.
And he has a YouTube channel, Tim Pierce Guitar. But he'll do a thing where he does what's called a takedown. So people will send him their songs to play guitar on. And he's like, the first thing I do is a takedown. The first time I heard it, I was like, what in the world?
Sounds Australian.
And he just listens to the song, and as the song plays, he just writes the chords.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's like the first time he hears it, and he's like, "Oh, that's a G over B." I'm like, "How do you hear that?"
Yeah.
And then like
he might have perfect
he only
pitch, too.
takes him one pass to do it.
Yeah.
And he has the exact chord progression, and then he starts writing parts, and it's just like he just plays them in there, awesome.
And that's not uncommon in the industry.
And as you practice and as you learn to train your ear more, that will happen to you.
I just really want to insert an Office reference, but it would take too long.
Do it. Okay, never mind.
Well, because the takedown, all I'm going to say for the Office fans is Charles Minor and Jim. It's a rundown, not a takedown, but still.
All right, here's a question for Bradford. Do you remember Brent Bailey?
I remember. I saw that
He
question.
said he remembers you
yes,
from Liberty.
I remember Brent. He's a great dude.
We both led worship in Georgia.
Yes.
I've watched for a while. It was crazy when he said he remembered you.
Yeah. Hey Brent, or
Evan.
friend of Brent,
Yeah.
Evan. Somebody asked what I got my degree in at Liberty too. Worship and music leadership, and I specialized in Christian artist performance.
This is a fun thing.
Yes.
Let's all talk about how random our education.
Well, I'm the only one qualified to do my job.
Because Fuller has a culinary degree. Bradford has a worship leading degree. I have a degree in chemistry. And
I'm in school
business,
now.
right?
Business administration, master's of business.
I'm a college student right now.
And Fuller's attending
Berkeley online.
Berkeley online.
Fuller's at
What
another
degree
level.
are you working toward there?
Right now I'm studying orchestration. I'm hoping to get like a film and TV games degree maybe one day if I get some extra money.
Yeah. Allow this to encourage you. You don't have to go to school. Well, Brad did. You don't have to go to school.
I mean, we all did, but you don't have to.
I mean, you don't have to have a degree in
worship,
ministry,
no.
or Bible, or you just have to be called by God to do it.
Yeah.
And you have to work. You have to learn. But you don't have to have a degree in worship leading or Bible.
No. You don't have to have
To
anything
be a pastor.
except the calling of God on your life.
Yeah.
And I'll say, like, even though I went to school for
I
worship,
had a lot of coffee. I feel like
I know I'm perking
Wiring?
up.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a little.
I
little
think,
fast.
but I think it's the live stream too.
Yeah.
Like, I really like doing this, so I'm
These
glad
are
we
fun.
do this.
What were you saying? I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, it's fine. I went to school to get a degree in worship, but at the end of the day, I didn't learn how to lead worship, and that's not Liberty's fault.
You just
gotta go lead worship.
You have to have
Yes.
experience.
And
Good,
like
Brad.
my dad told me this because my dad's a retired lieutenant colonel helicopter pilot in the Marine Corps.
Thank you for your service.
My dad, I don't know how
No
it comes
joke.
across, but my dad used to be bigger than I am. So my dad's 6'4".
Brad's a big
He's
dude.
60 now. He's been working more on staying fit, but my dad used to be like,
Big, huh?
ginormous.
He's a monster.
And so growing up, I didn't feel pressure as a kid because, you don't think about your future when you're 10 years old.
Right.
But I thought I was
just
going to
wanna
go
have
into the
fun with your
military.
friends.
And
Yeah.
I thought that I was going to do that. And as I got closer to it, I started leading worship in high school. And I was like, I don't really feel like military is my thing. And the coolest thing that my dad ever taught me, I guess, and I can never remember exactly like in the moment because I didn't have this written down, but he told me, he goes, here's how you know the call of God on your life, or here's a way you can know the call of God in your life. He's like, first off, what is it that you love doing? Mm-hmm. Are you given opportunities to do it? And if you're given opportunities to do it while making money, are people saying that you're good at it?
Yeah.
And he said if you can identify those things,
That's
then
it.
you might be on your way to figuring out the calling
That's
of
awesome.
God on your life. And this is my dad, a retired lieutenant colonel of the Marine Corps, and I grew up in a pretty strict home. My dad thinks he was too hard on me, but I always turn around and say, Dad, I'm a pastor now, so I don't think it was that bad. So I went to school to lead worship, but more and all, as great as Liberty and all my professors there were and still are, I learned more by just doing it. And so it's great to get paid, but sometimes you just got to take the opportunities as they come just to do it because experience is the best teacher.
Yeah.
And then also working with Fuller and working with, I guess I technically work for Brian too, but working with these guys has helped me up my game in a lot of things because you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Say that again. People need to
You
know.
are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
There you go. Look around, count them.
So I
Look who they are.
don't know where I got this size thing, but it definitely wasn't from these guys.
Hey.
So
I was telling a friend the other day. I was like, I'm gonna go hang out with some buddies from college over Christmas break. They live in I went to school in Kansas. They all live in Kansas, so I rarely ever see them.
Ooh.
And I was like, my 3 best friends in college. This is what they do. One is a surgeon, and one is an anesthesiologist. So 2 of them are doctors. One of them went to graduate school at MIT, and he does like supply chain logistics. One
of them's a YouTuber.
I'm the dummy. I make videos in my spare bedroom. Anyway.
Yeah. Hey, I think we should
You are
take
not
a
the
moment
dummy.
and just cheers, lift our glasses to the men and women of the armed forces in honor
Amen.
of Mr. Mitchell. Did a great job raising a great young man. So
That's
thank
right.
you for your service, all of
And
you
we
who served in the military.
We live in a country that has incredible opportunity and freedom.
Yeah.
And it's because of the people
I'm
who
proud
serve
to be an American.
serve to keep
where at
making that
least
happen.
I know I'm free. But
To barbershop? Derek Barolet says, "Dang, dude, you nailed the last name spot on." So
Vernon Whaley is the man.
9 years of French finally paid off. Hey, Brian, Clayton Souza. I wonder if he's related to Souza the, probably not. I want to know what gear you use to make live videos.
To make live videos?
Yeah, you have good
for the
streaming
live stream.
quality in all of your videos.
A camera?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Here's what I use. I have, and you can use any camera. I use, the video camera that I'm using is a Fuji X-H1. But really, any decent camera with an HDMI output will work. I run the Fuji. I run the output of the camera into, and what the image you're seeing is just the image from the camera. Nothing's being done to it. I love Fuji cameras. I run that out into a
for now
HDMI to SDI converter. Yeah, for now.
Brian's been known to switch all his cameras out regularly.
And so this is overkill. I'm just going to say it. This is overkill. I run the HDMI out into an HDMI to SDI converter made by Blackmagic Design. I run that into a SDI to streaming converter made by Aja. It's called an Aja U, just the letter U tap. Okay, so that takes basically the output of the camera and converts it into a streaming format that then goes USB into my computer. Okay, so that's the video. So the video gets sent, converted to a streaming format to the computer. The audio, I have an AKG C214 room mic that I run into my Universal Audio Apollo.
For audio.
And then I have some UAD plugins that I put on it. Mostly just stuff that comes with an Apollo. Like I have EQ, compression, and limiter. So it makes the audio sound good and raises the level. Okay? And then to stream it, I use Wirecast Studio. Okay, so if you're ringing the dollar bills,
I was about to say, you think the Helix is expensive?
The price is up there. Wirecast takes the video input, takes the audio input, puts them together, sends it out to YouTube or Facebook or wherever you want. That's
Brian and Fuller both.
I don't like.
And
I'm a go big or go home kind of a guy.
Well, see what I said about the 5 people you spend the most time with? Now all I want to do is spend lots of money on crap because of these 2.
All you need though is
you have to invest in yourself to take yourself seriously. So if there's anything, whether you're a mechanic or a doctor, doctors spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical school. You have to invest in yourself. Music's no different. Here's a quick question, one sentence answer from all of us. How do you become better at electric guitar fast? Practice fast.
Play songs that challenge you and practice until you can play the whole song.
If you take a rubber band and it's too small and you need it to be bigger, if you take a rubber band,
we're still on one sentence, comma.
Okay. Yes. If you take the rubber band and you stretch it out a whole lot, as far as it'll go, as long as you don't break it, when you release it, if you do that enough, the rubber band's going to be bigger than it initially was.
Yeah.
So, same applies to music. If you want to play easy stuff, try to learn the hard stuff, and then the easy stuff will be like a cakewalk.
That was 2 sentences, but it was a good analogy.
Jesse says,
he said one sentence.
This is a great question. Do I set the rehearsal time, or should I ask the team what day they would like?
Yes.
Exactly.
There's a lot of factors,
Yeah.
Ask the team,
take into consideration,
and then pick the best time.
There's no way a group of 40 people are going to be available at the same time. So at some point, you take the collective availability, and then you pick the best day for the most people, and then the other people, if they can't make it, it's unfortunate. You can't please everybody. Question. Have you ever trimmed the length of a worship song for the sake of your congregation?
Always. Next.
Yeah. The new Elevation album is awesome.
Oh, yeah. All the songs are like 9 minutes long.
I've covered 1 and I'm doing 2 more, like, currently. And all of them are 7 minutes long.
They took some notes from Bethel.
The versions that I'm doing are all 4 minutes long, so, yes. Cutting out half of it.
Good stuff. You guys ready to enter the danger zone?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Luis Calix says, for a musician on a worship team, is it okay to play music that is not Christian? So I guess maybe in their spare time or in other bands and whatnot.
Okay. I will answer your question with another question. What about a guy who's a plumber? Is he only allowed to work at Christian people's houses? What about a doctor? Is he only allowed to treat Christian people as his patients?
Bradford,
I think
you're turning my brain into a pretzel.
Oh, and pretzel day? I like pretzel day.
More Office. Bradford loves The Office. So.
I'm almost done with it, so I'm trying to relive it, and I'll start it all over again. Anyways, in moderation, I would say, I don't think you want to be playing extremely inappropriate, dirty, vulgar music. But absolutely. I think people get into this mindset that the only form of worship is music. And then furthermore, the only form of worship music is worship music. Whatever you do it to glorify and honor God. Do it with your whole heart. Do it wholeheartedly as unto the Lord. I think, you have a real opportunity. People connect with music in a way that they don't with other things. Some people don't give two flying flips what you have to say as a person on your blog, on your Facebook posts, as you meet people at gigs. They don't care. But your music will speak to them in ways that other things, or the songs you choose to play will speak to them in ways. And I think it's a gateway into better conversations. So you can use it that way. But at the same time, we're not getting into the playing non-Christian music in church thing. We have a video on that, so we'll just leave that.
There is a good video of that. And I think at the end of the day, it comes down to your personal conviction. We did a vlog this weekend. Listen, you've got to decide for yourself through the seeking of the Holy Spirit and God what God wants for your life. And you can't let other people's judgment of you, and you can't let other people's opinions of you stand in the way of what God is calling you to do. And it might be great for one person and wrong for the next person. It's complicated, but you need to go with your gut, and you need to go with what the Spirit is telling you. And so I think it's just something that we got to constantly, as Christians, always ask, whether it's not just music, but everything we do, is this glorifying to God? You know, because you might be, all you do is play Christian music, but then when you go out to restaurants, you're a jerk to the waiter. Ooh. You know, and it's like,
come on,
dude,
or you
don't get me started. I better just stop talking.
Tip.
I'm getting worked up.
Getting feisty.
Fuller salty today.
Oh boy!
Everything may be permissible, but it is not beneficial. And that's a lens you have to filter through. And that's the Bible.
There is a video. It's an old video. It's an FAQ video on the channel. Just search FAQ play in secular venues or something. I did a video on this. I think the answer is it's complicated.
It is complicated.
But I don't think it's wrong. It depends on what you're playing and where you're playing.
And this is not something I take lightly, because I'm in an interesting predicament. I produce music, right? I produce instrumental music. It's neither Christian nor non-Christian.
It's just music.
I'm a Christian and I make it and I'm passionate about it. A lot of my music ends up in secular television. And so what does that make me? You know, and so it's like there's
money.
Yeah, it does make money, yes. But so I think every person needs to decide for themselves. All right, I'm going to read this comment, but we probably shouldn't make any responses to it. I just think we should read it.
Is it from Positive Critic?
It's from Brian Alonzo.
Oh, okay.
Offer free IPAs. Okay.
That's if you want to get the millennials to come to your church. I saw that and I was like, I know what that's about.
And next question.
Hey, can I read one?
Yeah, please.
You mean on your own channel?
This is from Positive Critic. How do you guys handle the hair loss, Bradford?
Funk.
I mean, I'm hoping if you're the sum of the 5 people you hang out with most, that does not mean that I'm gonna.
I can answer that question.
Oh,
with
I'm sorry,
sadness.
guys.
Oh, no.
In my heart.
I'm sorry.
Like if you look, okay, I'm gonna do this.
Like the royalty-free version of Staring at Heaven.
Nick Rice and I made a fake commercial one time. I can't remember what it was, but it was
bald guy.
It was about like a support group for balding men. So I mean, look, my hair. I got some hair loss happening, and Fuller, are you receding?
Yes. It's obvious to anyone who's known me for 15 years. I am losing my hair, well, I'll tell you what I'm doing about it. I'll tell you what I'm doing about it.
That's supposed to be a joke.
My wife will back me up on this. I'm saving money because I'm flying to Chicago in a few years, and I'm gonna spend $5,000, and I'm gonna get new hair, and I'm gonna come back looking like the young me, and it's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be like Matthew McConaughey.
I'm getting a new head of hair like Brian Urlacher, man. It's just gonna be. One of my friends did this.
Well, he was bald. Is he not
I know a guy that went through this, and I saw a picture of him, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, his hair is amazing!" So I'm fighting it. I'm getting hair implants.
I'm just gonna. I've told the person that cuts my hair. I've told her. I said, just let me know when it's time and do what you got to do. That's what I've said.
Oh.
You know what? confidence is a lot more attractive than hair.
But both is even better.
Both is better. Luckily, we're all three married men. What do we care?
Oh, yeah. My wife doesn't care. I care.
I care a little bit.
Okay, I care. It's true.
Yeah. Okay, here's a question from Amber. I'm starting to lead worship, and my pastor is wanting more of a revival setting on Wednesday night, and I don't even know where to start. We have no drummer, just me on guitar and a piano. Any suggestions?
Okay, here's what I think.
I think it's...
If you want revival to happen in your church, music is maybe part of it, but man, you gotta pray. And
that's good.
Ask the Holy Spirit to bring revival to your church.
That'll preach.
And, I don't know. I think a
just
pastor's sermon is going to get you there.
Just because you call it a revival doesn't mean it will be.
That's good.
Not to discredit the idea of what you're doing. That's
so
great.
good.
But just don't be discouraged by it. But I think we talked about it earlier. Just being authentic.
Yeah.
But you can't take people...
best you can, too.
Yes. And you can't take people places you haven't been yourself.
Yeah.
So if you want to lead your team in your church and really deep in reverence and amazing worship, it has to be something that you've already done. You can't expect to figure that out live on the spot.
That's good. You can't force a revival.
Yeah, just pray and just prepare and ask God to bring people to you to help you, build your team, and you got to work. I mean, you got to do the work, but.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
The soil, the scripture talks about the parables planted on the soil. The soil's got to be ripe for a revival.
Yeah.
Throw
the seed out on the
Yeah,
stone,
so you got to get your soil prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, can you give a shout out to the Northside worship team?
Shout out to the Northside worship team.
David Bell, watch you guys all the time.
There are a couple of questions about rearranging music. There was, I think it was two different people.
Yeah.
Somebody asked about doing a song like R&B feel, and someone said doing a song written more towards the band is. The only thing you have to worry about is lyrics. You can change you can reharmonize a song or arrange it for different instruments. No problem.
It is illegal to change.
But
lyrics.
it is illegal to change lyrics. So if you change
it's a weird thing to say.
it is kind of weird.
It's not illegal to change lyrics.
It's CCLI, according to CCLI, it's.
Well, it depends what you do with it. Yeah.
Changing
by
words.
the law,
Yeah.
you technically you can't.
You're not going to end up in jail.
If you take the song "Reckless Love" and you sing "Perfect Love" or something else,
Or if you take "So Will I,"
you have broken copyright rules.
Yes.
Yeah.
You've broken copyright law.
And if you
Unless
take
it's
the
a parody.
song "So Will I,"
Unless it's a parody.
well, then you have to read the whole thing, and you want to change the word "evolving," technically, you have to have permission to do that.
Permission from the songwriter, the publisher.
Which is really interesting that the reharmonizing and the rearranging of song otherwise is okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do it make it sound good. If you're gonna try to do a Hillsong Young and Free song, and you're not gonna do anything to change it, and you have acoustic bass and cajon, and
you should change it.
You should definitely if the song is worth doing to you, you should definitely make it sound or do it R&B or mix it up. Yeah, absolutely.
Worship teams do it all the worship teams that release music do it all the time. Hey, Tony Musty.
Tony.
Thank you.
Tony.
Coffee for all.
Serving Italian food.
Tony, this episode of Worship Tutorials Live is sponsored by Tony.
Tony Musty. Tony,
who has provided our coffee for us.
Who is also Tony is a killer performer.
Yeah.
Tony's got a killer voice and he's awesome. He's a great worship leader. Miguel O says our church got a new worship pastor. For change, what should we expect?
Oh boy, who knows?
Wow.
A lot.
Pray for him.
That is a pretty open-ended question.
That's good. Yeah, just support him, get to know him.
Yeah, be on his side.
Yes, good.
Or her side, whoever it is. Just be for them and let them know that you're for them.
Yeah,
that will put wind in their sails like you wouldn't believe.
Bradford, is it possible if I can send you a bunch of gear questions to an email address? I just need some guidance with regards to gear.
Find me on Instagram. That'll be the easiest way because I don't mind saying that out loud. BN Mitchell. Or everybody should follow WT Tone and join the WT Tone Facebook group.
Send us Instagram
and the WT Leaders Facebook group as well.
Yep. There are links below this video for all those groups.
Yeah.
Minty 1981, you seem a little frustrated. We skipped your question. The chat goes by really fast, so if you wouldn't mind reposting that,
Actually,
we'll
the question was about where to place a capo, and I saw about 5 people kind of gave
Oh,
you their
okay.
thoughts too. So read through the chat. People are engaging
Hey,
as we miss stuff. So
There is, if you go to worsttutorials.com, I did a full series on capos, and I included a free download called the Capo Cheat Sheet that will answer all your questions about capos, where to put them, what key.
That's
you're
a
playing
sheet worth memorizing.
Yeah.
If you,
And it's
if you're going to memorize
it helps
something.
to understand a little bit of music theory, but it also might teach you a little bit of music theory.
Brian, will there be a piano tutorial in the future videos?
Hey, Fuller, let's talk about that.
We just actually finished shooting a new piano for Elevation.
Yeah, so Fuller is planning to do some keys playthroughs for songs. We just need to get him set up with a camera in his studio and some lighting so that he can shoot the videos. But yeah, we're going to start doing that.
Yes.
It's something we want to do.
We want to help. We know that
it's going to happen. I don't have a timeline for you. Hopefully soon.
we understand that there are a lot of church ministries out there who have really awesome piano players that have been playing classical piano for a long time, and now they're trying to transition into playing keys in a modern worship band. We are very passionate about helping you do that, and we are going to help you do that. We're going to resource you to do that because there are some tricks to the trade, and the reality is your piano players may be some of the best musicians on your team, and we haven't really tapped into using them, and so we're excited to do that soon.
And a lot of, I think what happens a lot too is instead of training and supporting and encouraging something, there's frustration because a lot of piano players will play in a way that maybe the worship leader or team doesn't like or is not appropriate for the song, but there's no guidance as far as here, because a lot of times people don't know, how do you communicate what to play in a way that's not hurtful, So
That's great.
It's a thing that it's a thing that I know a lot of worship teams struggle with.
Stratocasters in worship, well, all 3 of us use them. So
Why not? It worked for
Yes.
every rock and roll legend.
And now
They are the
now
most popular guitar
Cundy
in
and
all
Pope
time.
are doing it, so maybe we're setting the trend and they're following us.
I've been using a Strat leading worship for
My
10 years.
favorite,
Love it.
my favorite electric guitar in the world is right over there. It's a Strat style guitar. It's a Shelton.
Here's a good question for you guys. Love your content. Also, how do worship leaders, when you're deciding on how to do songs, how to arrange them and stuff, is there a limit on it? For example, I want to do a certain arrangement. Could I produce the arrangement for bass, guitar, keys, and drums, and then ask people to do it that way?
Yeah.
Any limits to that?
Well, we already mentioned you can't change lyrics. Legally, you're not supposed to. But I don't know. As long as it's singable and really, and your congregation's going to relate to it. Yeah. I think I don't know.
Brian, you're like the master at rearranging songs.
I do
you're
well.
constantly doing that. Just walk us through your process a little bit, because you're always taking these big songs and making a nice broken down acoustic versions of them.
And shorter. I always think about it this way. A lot of times songs will have Won't Stop Now is a great example. Okay, so Fuller and I just finished doing some playthrough, and Bradford's probably going to play some electric guitar stuff for it. Won't Stop Now is the title, or is the first track on the new Elevation album. It's 7 minutes long. Okay, there are, so what I did was I probably shortened the intro. A lot of times people will play the intro through twice. You don't have to do that. It has 2 instrumental sections in it, and I cut one out completely. So there's an instrumental section going into the bridge and coming out of the bridge. Elevation does that a lot.
Yeah.
And if you're in a large venue with a large band and a lot of energy, you can really elongate that stuff and people stay in the moment. If you're in a smaller environment, it's a lot harder. So I cut out the second instrumental altogether, and I went straight from the bridge to the last chorus. And I did the chorus once, and then I ended it. And on the album, they go back into a big section. Yeah. So really what you want to do is there's always going to be a part of a song that grabs you. For me, it's the bridge of that song. Yeah. So I didn't only do the bridge once. I did it a couple times because it's awesome. The lyrics are good, the vibe of the bridge is good, so I left that in. But you can cut, if there's a repeated chorus, you can cut one of them. It really just depends on the song.
That's awesome.
That's my approach.
I do think it's smart to give your band a recording. If you can give them a recording, that's great. If you're going to do a salsa version of How Great Is Our God, please give them a recorded version.
And let me hear it too.
And if
I would like to hear that.
And if you can't get a recorded version, that's probably a sign you shouldn't do that.
What about
Yeah, don't hang your band out to dry. And
Yeah.
expect them to
version.
know how to play something they don't know that you haven't given.
Isn't it illegal to change the meter?
What about a 6/8 version of Our God? Our God is greater, our God is stronger, our God is stronger than any other.
Free IPAs.
Hey guys, it's 11:59. We need to wrap up.
Okay.
Any last questions?
This is a
Let's
question.
find a
This
good
is it's a short question, but this might be the question of the day, and I think this could help
Okay.
a lot of people. This comes from Jamie Burkholder. He says, "How do you get off of a worship team?" This question has a lot to it.
How do you exit?
Yeah, and this is an important question because a lot of you might be feeling this.
Is
Now.
the question more about the fact that you feel like you should leave because it's just not a good situation?
Well, there
Because
could
that's
be
different.
a
I
than
think
just
the
like-
decision's been made. It's like, what's the process for? Because people feel, especially people who've been there for years, they feel obligated. They feel like they're letting people down.
Yeah.
They feel like their friends are gonna be upset. I mean, I was just talking to a guy a few weeks ago who's kind of going through the same process, and man, this is why I recommended this book, Boundaries, at the beginning of the stream, because I think all of us have to know how to navigate our own lives and how to be able to say yes to stuff and be able to say no to stuff without the guilt or the weight or the anxiety of really worrying about what other people are going to think. And I think that this is why it's so important to really understand who you are, where you're at, and to really broadcast what are the things you will do and what are the things you won't do. Because what happens is you get to the point, a lot of people play every weekend for years, and they really don't want to be playing every weekend, but they get sucked into this unhealthy cycle, and they don't know how to stop. The best way to do it is to just do it. I would go to, for example, if you play every weekend and you just feel like you need a week off, you go to your worship leader and you say, I love being on the team. I love it. It's great. I don't want to stop doing it, but I need to go down to twice a month.
Yeah.
And you make that decision for yourself, and you don't let them guilt you. You don't let them change your mind. You have to know what you need to do, and you present that to them. You give them time, right? You don't go, hey, starting next week, I'm going to, say, hey, a couple more months, and then I want to switch to twice a month. I'll help you maybe try to find some people. But you have to know for yourself. You have to draw the line in your sand. Don't let people take advantage of you. And because I think that's what impedes a lot of leaders is they are crutched by people who just give and give and give, and they're never challenged to be a leader. Because if you tell your worship leader, if your entire band says, hey, we're not going to be here every other week, that leader is now forced to do what they should be doing, which is recruit and find other people to fit into God's plan for their lives and for that ministry. So you got to do it with grace and respect and time. Don't leave frustrated, but you have to know enough is enough. This is not healthy. And if you're talking about leaving a church altogether, then you just have to have the right conversations with the right people and say, hey,
people about it.
It's time for me to go.
You have to talk.
And some people will kick and scream. Some people will try to manipulate you and feel guilty. But at the end of the day, that's between them and God.
You might be surprised.
Yeah.
Some pastors, will say, go bless somebody else.
Yeah.
And this goes back to what I mentioned earlier about reading 360 leadership, because the way you lead well you may be benefiting that worship leader to understand how he should be doing things, he or she should be doing things. So that's a good opportunity to just lead the way you would have liked to have been led, if that's part of the reason why you're leaving or stepping down, is just, say, hey, I want to respect you, or I appreciate what you do, and I feel like my time here has kind of come to an end, and, I don't want to just leave you high and dry, so I'll let you know, like, in 3 months I'm pulling back, kind of like all this thing is Fuller's saying. But as you do that, don't be, like, passive-aggressive, but just, the golden rule is treat people the way you want to be treated. Well, I think at times, more specifically, it's lead people the way you want to be led.
Yeah. Communicate.
So, communicate, yes.
Okay, that's it. We probably, Fuller, you need to get going, right?
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other last minute questions?
Man, there are people asking all kinds of great questions.
There's a lot of good stuff.
Sorry if we're not getting to them. They fly by, and there's a lot.
There's a lot of questions.
When is the next live scheduled for?
Hey, we are going to plan to do this every Friday morning, Eastern time at 11 a.m. So I don't know where that is where you live, but Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Friday mornings.
That's good.
That's the plan, and hopefully it'll be the three of us every time.
Andrew asked this question along the same lines of the last question. How do you set boundaries or time off and you need rest when you're the leader and it's a church plant and you have a full-time job?
Oh boy!
Because now you feel
outside of your job. And
if I leave, who's gonna do it?
Yeah.
And that's the weight, and that's a very unhealthy situation to be in. By the way, you got to raise up a
find
Padawan.
Somebody to help you.
You got to raise up. You've got to raise up somebody to replace yourself eventually, or.
Just help
worst case scenario, hire someone, man. Like, just go to your pastor and say, I've got to take a week off. Here's a list of 9 people that we could hire.
Yeah.
Just 1 week.
Yeah, there's probably people around you at other churches that you could say, hey, can you come just for a weekend and we'll pay you and you lead worship and do your thing. Listen, it's not the end of the world to do that. And it might be a blessing to your church.
Yeah.
But... listen,
and the return could be you come back rested. And
oh my gosh,
you get a great opportunity. And that's why our
that's
church
worth $150 or $200.
Yeah,
easily.
Good grief,
easily
to pay somebody to do that.
Yeah. And if your pastor's not in a place where he understands that, that's a deeper conversation.
Yeah.
Because what'll happen is you'll do as much as you can, and then one day you'll just say enough is enough. I quit, and you'll leave. Yeah. And that's the problem when you don't set boundaries. People give and give and give, and then they just stop. They leave. They go to another church, and they carry this baggage with them. Man, I want to rant right now.
And this is why I said earlier, like, I think the secular world does a way better job of taking care of employees than the church does.
Yeah.
The church abuses people without realizing it. I mean, our intentions certainly are probably almost always good, but the way that we think about, you know, people and their boundaries and anyway.
No, that's good.
Yeah. Like Fuller said, we could go on and on.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's an important one. Hey, how do you figure out what key for your voice to sing in?
Oh, well, you just got to experiment. Every song is going to be different because every song, like the melody of a song, even if it's in the same key, hits a different part of the melody of that key. So, you know, you got to take the song and figure it out.
How would you do that? What's a practical way to do that?
Me?
Yeah, like what's your process? Say you want to learn a new Elevation song.
Yeah.
How do you figure out what key for you? What would your process
I did it.
be?
Okay, so here's an example. I just recently did "Here Again" by Elevation. We're talking about Elevation a lot. They did it in the key of D. Right? I sang the song in the key of D to the album, and I thought, this is too high for me. So I tuned my guitar down a half step.
Oh, wow.
Right? And that's, you don't have to do that. And I thought, well, actually, the first thing I did was I played it in C. So I just transposed the chords down to C and played it. I thought, this feels pretty good. I also tried it down in A without jumping any octaves. So I sang the lower stuff higher.
Oh, yeah.
I brought everything up to the same register.
Yeah, I do that a lot,
is vocal gymnastics.
Yeah, that song is difficult. So I tried that, and it felt okay, and I thought I could do this. But where I landed on for the sweet spot for me was D flat, because the bridge of that song is the highest part, and I thought, and I could sing that part comfortably in D flat, and I thought D is a stretch. I'm not going to be able to hit it every time. But for me, it's just experimentation. Yeah. So take the song, if it's too high, take it down a couple steps.
Yeah. If it's like only high in one spot, you may only be like a whole step, half step. But if it's like high for several parts, take it down like 2 steps and just work from there.
That's great. That's great practical advice. I've also, at certain songs, maybe there's one part that's too high, actually change the melody and just sing a little different for that one line.
I've done that a lot for worship tutorials videos.
Yeah,
I'll change the melody so I don't hit the highest note.
You're going to prison. You can't do that. That's illegal.
You can change melody.
Hey, this is a great question. I know money is a touchy subject, but how much should a church pay a worship leader for Sunday practice, etc.? You're talking about like a contract situation like we just described. Mm-hmm. Always remember this. You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And so if you want Chris Tomlin, you're going to have to fork over some money. If you want just a guy that can stand there and kind of sing and kind of play guitar, you could probably get him for $50.
Or for free.
I'd say the general rate is anywhere between $100 and $300 for a service, including a rehearsal. When you get into the professional world where people are doing it for a living, between $250 and $500 for a weekend is totally normal. It's not a lot, especially if that's their career.
That's not much at all.
So yeah, but you always get what you pay for. You try to do it for free, and you probably will get that value out of it. What do you think when it's a rule where if you are late to the rehearsal, you can play?
Probably can't.
Probably can't.
Probably
so
you can't play.
If you're late to the rehearsal, you can't play in the service.
You got to take that.
That's a little extreme, I think.
Like if somebody's like if there's a car accident and the highway is backed up and they're late. You know, if it's a thing where a person's just chronically late, then you gotta have a conversation. Yeah. We've covered this in a Worship Leader Wednesday video, right? Yeah. I think what to do when people are late. Yeah. Grace abounds. If you're consistently late, there's a bigger problem. Now, if you, I do have kind of like a general rule of thumb. If you can't make rehearsal, I will probably take you off for that weekend. Yeah. Mainly because it devalues everyone else.
Communicate with
let your worship leader know ahead of time if you can't make rehearsal. Because that lets them plan. And then maybe you can get on the next week if you weren't, you know.
But also, this is kind of like not necessarily the question you're asking. But one thing that I don't like is when somebody sees the way I do something or don't do something, and then they initially make an assumption about why I did something that way. Yeah. And they handle it the way they want to handle it. And sometimes it's fine. But then there are times, so in this instance, if you're late to rehearsal because you get off of work, go pick up your kid from daycare, take them home, feed them some dinner, and drop them off at your neighbor's house or something, and you show up 15 minutes late to rehearsal, I'm not going to fault somebody who is who's taking care of their family. And like, if I know that's what's happening, and that's like a common thing, but if it's just like, so that's the only way to find that out though, as a leader, if you ask, hey, I notice you're showing up about 15 minutes late every week. What's going on? Like, I just need to know what's happening. I just need to know if there's something I can do to help. And it goes back to the adage, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah, that's good.
So as a leader, if you approach things that way, sometimes it's a matter of, I didn't know that you noticed that I'm late. And like, maybe they just will pay attention and be like, all right, they'll get there. So there's different reasons for everything, but I wouldn't start with that. That seems to be an intense rule, but there seems to be more layers to it there.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna have to sign off. I'm hungry.
Yes.
Bradford.
You going to Chick-fil-A or Cookout?
Well,
no.
Neither are close.
We're going to Town Hall Burgers and Beer.
I had Town Hall last night.
Ooh, Brad's gonna get a cheeseburger, I'm sure. I think I'm gonna go for the Caesar salad with grilled chicken.
Their chicken sandwich on naan bread, I get it a lot. It's really good.
I think I'm gonna go Caesar salad.
Well, if it's none, then
I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. I'm gonna order the Caesar salad. Maybe I may cave and buy a burger. Brad's gonna order the bacon cheeseburger. We're gonna sit down. They're gonna bring us our food, and I'm gonna
Capo.
You know the song? You know the '80s song, "Hungry Eyes."
Hungry Eyes.
That's gonna be me.
I wasn't born then.
I don't think that's what that song is referring to.
It's about food.
Okay, good.
I don't think so.
You know, "Cherry Pie" by Warrant is legitimately about cherry pie.
Okay.
The guy who wrote it has said that that's what it's about.
Wow.
But that's not what people think it's about.
Okay.
Look at Fuller's eyes. He was like, "You just went there."
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm gonna be jealous of Brad's cheeseburger while I eat
the
salad. But after we're done, I'm gonna feel better about myself.
Thank you guys
Brad
for
can
checking
eat the
us out.
It just goes to his biceps.
I need to calm down.
Brad cheeseburger. Thank you guys for joining us
Calm
today.
down. Why?
I just
a lot of great questions.
Cheeseburgers.
We'll see you guys again.
I look weird just staring out into the distance. I'm reading the screen.
Fuller is like trying to sign off.
I'm trying to be professional here. You guys have lost your minds to your appetite.
Oh man, but MSG Flava mentioned tomahawk steaks.
Oh, no, why you want to do that, man?
That I could
that's
get behind.
Terrible.
That I could get behind.
Starving.
Okay, we're gonna nix Town Hall. We're gonna go to Firehouse Firebirds.
Firebirds.
Oh my gosh!
Right now,
we good.
Robert ate PB&J English
I would
muffins.
get the prime rib.
I thought I was the only person that ate peanut butter and jelly on English muffins.
I like that.
It's so good.
I like that
the peanut butter starts melting, and it's like oh my gosh!
All the little pockets.
Excellent, Robert. Excellent.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Good job.
I even put peanut butter on raisin
here we are.
cinnamon English muffins. I like it.
Yeah. I'm
okay.
About food.
All right. Fuller, sign off again.
Fuller's.
We won't interrupt you this time.
Whoa! So somebody's already got an Hx Stomp in the mail.
Ooh. Wow,
they must live close to Sweetwater.
Okay, we're back to signing off.
Happy trails to you until